Good morning.
Hey,
So,
that's
yeah,
awesome. Well, thanks for your
big
time
world
today,
is a
man.
small world.
It means a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So let's jump into it, man. This won't take long, I
Sure.
promise. I
No,
promise.
no, I've got time, so it's all good.
Sweet.
We had
So,
like 4 inches of snow on the ground, so I'm snowed in for a hot minute.
okay, awesome. I'm sure he shared with you kind of like where I'm at. It was a funny post that he was like, "Oh, watch this," and he actually made it. I thought it was totally like it was a joke. Well, the joke got really real. So, in I believe 89 or 88 days from now, I have to come out with a 7-song country album. I've never been in band, never been in anything. I never have really listened to country music at all. So,
Wow.
I'm enjoying this. I might end up doing something every 100 days that's just like outside of my zone of genius. And
Uh-huh.
just to like, what skills can I pick up? What do I need to know? And so I've been writing some songs, and I mean, they're terrible as they should be as you just start.
Yes.
But, and I think I found some hacks to it, but I'm kind of like saying, okay, how do I fast forward my just releasing of an album? Like it's get around
Mhm.
people that have been in music, right? So
Mhm.
it's like they'll tell you what you need to know about what they know in music.
Yeah.
And I will be, after a certain amount of conversations, I'll be able to piece things together better than I could if I was doing it by myself, as far as like just trying to figure it out by reading books or by doing whatever. Why not get with people that have been in some form of music? If it's someone that's played piano their whole lives, great. If it's someone that is best friends with some country music star, awesome. It's kind of
Sure.
like anyone that has any sense of music or country music or in the business, I want to meet with them. I want to talk with them
Yeah.
for like 30 minutes and just go, let me pick your brain. So to start out for you, kind of like, what is your like, relationship with music? And I've seen stuff with you in like music studios. So I'm really curious for you, Cody, like what have you done as far as like, what is your experience? And then what do you do now, whether it's a hobby or professional or whatever, kind of what is your, I don't know how to ask it, like your musical history.
Yeah. So basically, my musical background is that I've grown up playing music my whole life. We all start out small, like we play recorder in like what, kindergarten, right? And
Yeah.
then I was the idiot that kept playing recorder for like 4 more years. And then that turned into saxophone, and then that turned into playing the drums in a rock band, and then that turned into me teaching myself guitar and mandolin and a bunch of other instruments so that I could basically write songs and do my own thing. And it kind of started out really as me wanting to help my church community and do things
Mm.
with my friends. And everybody's like, "Oh, I want to write songs. Let's make a band." So that's what you do. And so that's kind of how that happened. And then now I still write a bunch of music all the time. I write music that's just for myself and for my friends, but then I also have like this whole other thing where my friends and I have some church bands, and we're
Yeah.
really trying to make music in that. And it's been a really interesting because we basically spend I would say like 12 days a year writing together, like that we just segue like whole days, like so that
No
we can
kidding.
just write, and then like we try and take those and we work it into our community, and we play some of those new songs. And then if things are sticking and people are liking what we're throwing down, then we go, okay, like let's develop this more. And then that eventually goes into, okay, I think this is a strong song now, let's record it. And so that's what we've been doing. So like my friend Brian and I, basically we've been writing together now for 3 years, maybe almost four. And we have put out one song together, and then I helped him write like maybe 3/4 of his album or half of an album. And then he just put that out. And then
Oh,
like
sweet.
if I can ever get any money and not be a poor kid, then hopefully I'll get to put out an album eventually. But it's basically like you know, if you want radio quality music, sometimes it's hard to find the right people at the right price point to do that.
Mm.
And so for me, like I always get a little bit more in the high quality because I demand perfection of myself and other people. So, like, I don't want to put out a song unless it's radio quality, and sometimes that might be to my detriment. But
What
then it
makes
makes me
radio quality expensive? That's something that I just have never been in this world. And I hear a phrase mastering. So in engineering. And so I'm like,
yeah,
what? Help me understand what that means. Like, what does that mean? What makes it expensive? What
sure.
is mastering and what is engineering?
Okay, so engineering is more in what you would call sound engineering, and basically how I would phrase that is sound engineering is the way that you record the music that you're making
Hmm.
in the technical aspects of it. So, like, engineering is how close did you put that microphone next to that guitar or that piano to make it so rich or to bring out the sound, and what settings did you use, and the type of drums that you're using for certain sounds, and keyboard sounds that you use. It's basically like the gathering of what makes the right tones for your musicianship. And so in my regard of sound engineering too, basically when you put on your headphones and you're jamming out to music and you hear things, if you were like imagining them in your ears, like you were watching it on a stage, like you don't pay attention to your eyes, right? But you hear things. It's just like if you go to a concert, if you watch the guy playing triangle, you can pick out triangle. If you watch the guy
Mm,
playing violin, you can hear the violin better. If you listen to the lady playing clarinet, you're going to hear it stronger for a little bit. Same thing with audio engineering is that you're basically building where you want the sounds to hit your ears so
mm.
that everybody can be in the space together, and it's not
Wow.
all one thing, but it's almost like you're making it so that the sound of your guitar is down, where's my hand, down here, and then you've got something that's high up here like your electric guitar, and then
Yeah.
your vocals are right here in the middle. and
Got it.
and so that's what sound engineering is all about, is the way in which that gets put together. And
Yeah.
then mastering, whoop, whoop, I keep kicking my stand. Mastering is when you take everything that you've worked on and you've finished basically assembling the song. You've gotten it all put together in all of its strips and pieces and bobs and bits and bells and whistles. And then they take that and they shape the sound just a little bit more to make it resonate. And they make the frequency of the music do what it's supposed to do to make it sound as rich as possible. Really, that's where things will make a real big difference in radio quality versus not radio quality, but something that's still okay.
Yeah.
Is there some people can smush and stretch the sound of your music to make it sound like it's the most beautiful thing ever, and it'll make you sound 3 times better than you are.
Mm.
And then there's some people that, they don't have that capability yet. They haven't learned that skill. And so some people have different levels of their skills in mastering. And so when you really want to have radio quality stuff, sometimes you have to, bite the bullet and pay through the nose for it, because it's worth it, because it's
Yeah.
gonna
Okay.
stand out.
And was this just like you going and going, all right, I want to create this. Okay, why doesn't it sound like this on the radio? Okay, I need to learn what that is. And then you're like, okay, it sounds better, but it doesn't sound like this. So let me go learn this skill. So like whenever I see like people making a album, you'll see them in the studio and there's this big board with all these notches on it. It's the most intimidating thing I've ever seen. And it makes
Yeah.
me like go like, oh yeah, I'm never gonna be ready. So like do you how much of that board makes sense to someone like you? And when you're listening to somebody, like you recently took a picture, it was super cool. There's like a girl singing and
Yeah.
in the studio, and you're behind all the notches, right?
Yep.
The board of
Yep.
notches. And when you're hearing this and you're sitting there, are you having to go, all right, I'm not just listening to her now, I'm listening to her for her album and how people are going to hear it? Or is that later?
Both.
Wow.
It's both, because the thing is, like, a good audio engineer and a good producer, in a way, you're like a conductor in the symphony. You're trying to bring out certain pieces from each of your players,
Yeah.
and you're trying to, like, bring out the right emotions, especially with a singer. If somebody just goes and they sing a song like da da da, okay, that's just a song. But then you have somebody that puts their heart and soul into that music, and you go, oh my gosh,
Mm.
this is something else. You can have somebody sing a song. What's Adele.
Yeah.
Adele, you hear Adele and the emotion in her voice for a reason, because she's trying to, like, convey that, and she has a producer who's really drawing that out of her. And so it's just like acting, or maybe some of those other skills, to be able to talk to somebody and go, okay, you're thinking about it like this, I want you to think about this emotion and pull that out.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a weird aspect when I'm sitting behind the board now on those kinds of things, because I'm at a stage where I'm trying to be the audio engineer, and I am trying to be the producer, and I am trying to be a lot of those things. I probably won't be my own master, but
why do you say that?
Just because I know that my level of skill isn't to where I want it yet. And sometimes the thing that I know about music, just about everything in life, is it's not always about your skill set, it's who you know.
Wow.
It's learning how to depend on other people to share in your vision, because sometimes when you find, especially in music, when you surrender the idea that everything has to be yours,
wow,
and you open yourself up to, like, the ether of community, whether that's having other people play instruments, or other people contribute as singers, or other people contribute as writers, or other people contribute as your sound engineer or your masterer, it opens up possibilities that never existed, because all of you are coming together to work on this thing with a singular focus.
Jeez Louise.
And I think that that's what's powerful.
I think you said something there that's really big, like the surrendering, because it's more personal. It's not like a business. It's like, hey, this is my baby. And someone's like, I think it could sound like this. And you're like, but that's not how I had it in my head. And it's like, but I think you're going for this, right? Yes. Well, this is off, or that's off. Or like, I feel like that I could see that being extremely hard.
It can be. I think that when you build your community of people that you're working with, it's important to build with people that you trust.
Wow.
I would never sit down with someone that I don't know, that I don't hang out with, that I don't laugh with, that doesn't know my heart and my mind, and go, let's write a song, because there has to be trust there. The reason I write songs with my friend Brian is because we've had a 7-year friendship at this point. But we've only just now been writing together for like 3.5, almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Why? Because it took us a while to get to where we knew each other and we trust each other, and we're able to go, this is my baby, please be gentle with it. But also trust that other person to be like, this is a great idea and this is crap. This has to go. This line needs to be tweaked. This note needs to be held longer in the song when you're singing it. Like, those little things can make a difference as you start to kind of chew things out. And I loved something you said, and this is kind of intertwined. I think it was a day or two ago, you had made a post and you were talking about the machine of creativity and your machine of creativity. And the thing is, like, as you're going through this process, the machine of creativity is going to be super important for you, because too many artists who could have been great are settling for mediocrity because they don't put the discipline in.
Tell me more about that. Like, what do you mean by that? Because that's huge.
So basically, it would be like you have a painter, and the only time that they paint is when they feel inspired. That's crap. That's absolute crap, because they'll never grow in their techniques and their disciplines and the things that will make them great, because they're not practicing enough. They're not shaping enough. They're not building enough on the canvas. They're not doing those things. They're only waiting for inspiration. So when that inspiration comes, they only have this small skill set because they never develop it through normal discipline. And so that inspiration would come to them, and they could probably even make something even better if they had already been disciplining themselves to work more every day and make something every day, even if it wasn't great, even if it wasn't perfect, whatever it is. Or if they take more time to learn how to draw and hands, and tomorrow it's noses, and a few months later it's eyeballs. Those things will all add up later because they've been putting in that study. And the same goes with music. Right now you go, and I loved your honesty. You go, okay, I've written 2.5 songs and I'm happy with them, but I also know that they're probably junk. Good. Write a song like every 2 days, because that builds that machine of creativity, so that sometimes you're going to have these pieces that go, oh man, this is strong writing and this is junk. But it's those pieces of strong writing that you're going to start to find, this is where a song is. This is where this idea is. And so it's not always just based on your inspirational moments, and it's not just serendipity. It has to be built and forged through discipline too.
That's huge. Okay, so Cody, tell me this. Here's my biggest fear. In all of this is that, let me say this. I think my gift is I'm very aware and I'm very non-technical, which means I'm very aware. I'm not trying to create the perfect album. I just want to create an album and I think that's my gift, because if I was serious about country music, if I was like, man, I'm going to be a country artist and this is this thing, I think I would overcomplicate the first one instead of looking at the first one as like, it's just my first one. Like everyone has a first one. So if I don't come out with something, I won't come out with my 5th one that's going to hopefully win a Grammy or do whatever. Right. I'm almost looking at it like in rap, it's like a mixtape. It's like your first mixtape. You just go out. No one's ever going to listen to it in 10 years. No one's going to care. No one's going to know it existed. Some guy's going to be like, I had his first mixtape. I grew up in his neighborhood. 5 of us have it. And I don't even know where it is in my closet. That's what I'm making. So my fear is, because I'm not technical, it gets complicated right before it comes out. Instead of it just being, I really love the stories of big artists that are like, I wrote this in a week. It took us a week to create, and you're like, well, yeah, they're talented as all get out. But I love that urgency. Let's just do it. Let's get it out. Like, it's going to be like, let's get something out into the world.
Sure.
At the same time, I also have a weakness in I rush things. And it's like, dude, this could have how do you avoid those things? Whereas I would imagine you might be too technical at times instead of going, hey, it's good enough for now.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head. I think that sometimes your perfectionism can stand in your own way.
Yeah.
Because and this is actually something that really happened in real life. Do you know the Beach Boys? Okay, so the main writer for the Beach Boys, Brian, one of the things that kind of literally brought him into mental illness was that things were never perfect enough on the albums that they were working on that he was ready to release things. Because he heard the music in his head and could never quite get it out right. And it, in a very, non-derogatory way, but it drove him kind of mad because his perfectionism couldn't let it go.
Wow.
And so I love that you recognize that for you, okay, this is just the mixtape, because that might give you a little bit more freedom to fail. Because the thing is, failure is great. It's our best teacher. And we're so terrified of failure, especially in our culture now. And I think that we forget that failure is what makes us better, and trying is what makes us learn. And so, when we were first learning how to walk as infants, we ate crap all the time, bumped our head into every piece of furniture, stumbled off stairs, gave our parents heart attacks because they thought we were going to die. But they had to let us fail and fall on our face and bust our lip and stuff like that in order to be able to learn how to walk, ride bikes, run, do the things that, later we could do. It's the same thing in music. It's the same thing in any art or any goal in life, is that you have to be willing to try things and let yourself do them and let yourself be able to fail, because that's going to teach you. And then through that failure, you're going to have those moments where it doesn't matter if how things end up ultimately, because you go, this was just such the best experience ever. My best memories are of me doing stuff, and it might not necessarily be that I won this soccer game, or I won this wrestling tournament, or I, won first prize in the state fair with a picture that I submitted. It was the experience of doing it.
Yeah.
Right. And so really, honestly, the reward isn't always the destination. It's the journey itself. And that, I think, is where you're really harnessing that energy right now. When you have somebody that goes, let's write an album, and we've got, I've got this studio breathing down my neck, and I've got to come out with an album in 5 days, and I go lock myself in a cabin in the middle of Vail, and I'm going to write for 5 days and just drink and eat potato chips and stuff or whatever. Fine. Some people can do that, and that's really great. And they've probably also spent a lot of time building the mechanical gears of that discipline to be able to do it. For you, you get a little bit of a respite in as much as you don't have to do it in 5 days. You've got 100 days that you're working on. So I'd say maybe you got like 3 weeks, 4 weeks to put together all your songs. And what I would do if I were you is...
Wait, I have 4 weeks? What do you mean?
Well, I'm not saying that you do. I'm just saying that you don't have to put it all in 1 week.
Oh, okay. You scared me, Cody. I was like, wait.
No. No, I'm just saying that you have a little bit of time to spread it out and to take the things that you're chewing on and to bounce ideas off of your friends and the people that you find along this journey, because they're going to help you go, yeah, these are strong lyrics. Yeah, these are good chords. Like, let's help you find something that has this feeling, and you'll be able to start going, I heard this song on the radio. I like this vibe. Can you help me find something that sounds like that? Like, how would I write something like that? Like, those kinds of things where, because if you don't know the technicality of music, you're going to have to find others that help share that language. And so
let me just stop you right there. That's actually what I'm looking forward to. So this might sound crazy, but I think my hack is honestly going to be like Fiverr. And the way that I'm going to do this cheaply is finding someone that has a lot of great reviews and saying, I want it to sound like this, meaning my voice, and I want it to open up like this song with like a solo instrument.
Yeah.
And here are my lyrics.
Yep.
My voice is not good at all, so it's going to have to be auto-tune. Do your thing. Like,
yeah.
Do your thing. And I've already looked on Fiverr, and there's like people that can do it. Now, is it going to be good? No. But I think it's going to be like...
It might be. Don't sell yourself short.
Okay, Cody, I'm studying music right now. Just like, so this is the thing that I don't like. I'm having to go from listener to artist, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in this, the number one question I've been asking myself, Cody, is why do I like these songs?
Ooh, this is a deep rabbit hole. Yeah.
And so I usually am like in like two kind of camps. It's either like EDM. I love EDM. Like, I just love it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I love is like, I'll listen to a lot of worship music, but I don't like the majority of it. Right.
Sure.
It's a certain part that I'm drawn to. And then I like indie psychedelic rock. Like, and I've been trying to ask myself, like, why do I like Mars Volta? Why do I like this
Sure.
one song by Bethel Music? Why do I love Swedish House Mafia? Like, what is it about all of these different ones? And I'm starting to notice, like, okay, they all build. Like, they all have a slow build
Yeah.
that takes me out of where I am. Whatever I'm
Yeah.
doing, I'm out of it. And I am now completely enraptured in this thing that's happening. And my imagination is going a million miles a minute. And then it goes like, how do I translate that to country music? And looking for artists that do a good job of building to a climax of some sort. And I've noticed, like, maybe this sounds bad. Lyrics are only as good as you can train the listener to, like, appreciate them. And so you can write some of the best lyrics. You can be Bob Dylan. But if you can't help the listener understand or help the listener tune in, they can almost just be words. What this is hot sports opinions with Justus at 10:15 in the morning Central Time. All right. But does all I'm saying, is that making sense? Because you're the one behind going, all right, we've got to make this something. Like, I got to take all of these things that are happening and turn them into something that people can digest. So did my rant make any sense?
Yeah, no, because the thing is that good music has a way of transporting you. I mean, you see that, I don't know, for me, I every once in a while will go and I'll play music, and I have a wide catalog of music that I've learned over the last 20 years I've been playing music. And I try to diversify because I love music. I listen to jazz, country, rock, rap, Christian music, reggae, all of it, you know, EDM, the whole gambit. I'm all over it. And so the things that I like, sometimes I try and learn. But I also, every once in a while, take some of those songs and I'll go play music at like an old folks home. And you watch those people who, you know, they're kind of living in a mundane situation. Life is really the same thing every day. But the moment they hear a song that they know, it's like all those memories, all of that life experience turns on. And that's kind of the beauty of music, right? It has this ability to connect with us in our emotions, in our soul, in our mind. Things that moments in our lives can be tied into music. Certain music that we grew up with in high school is like, instantly hear it and it transports you, and you're like, oh, I remember when I was like an emo kid and I was like 14 years old or whatever, like, you know. And music has that ability. So when you're kind of going, oh, like, I want music to like build and have these dynamics, is kind of what we call building, is dynamics in music. To have things have a build to them is important because you want to take your listener on a journey. Because every song needs to be, in a sense, it's a journey. It's part of your heart. You know, you're sharing this memory. And really, like, the things that are going to resonate with people when you write are the things that touched your emotions. It might be this one memory you have of like driving down the back roads with a girl in your car, and you're just like, oh, this girl's so beautiful. Like, I can't wait to like kiss her. Like, that's a strong emotion. Everybody knows that emotion. They will attach to that emotion. Those are the kinds of things, especially with country music, because it hits that like common blood of Americana in all of us. And that's why it's so accessible, is because it's about our lives in a very real way, in our lives as Americans. You know, the open spaces of the West, or the country values that we have as a family, or the small town life that we want to dream of, but sometimes we think we want to escape, but it's really like the thing that we love. You know, those dynamics of that journey, like, those are the things that, as you write, you know, you can definitely write poetry, but if it doesn't have heart, it's really going to be prose.
Yeah, that's something that I'm noticing, is like, The songs I really love, the lyrics were digestible to me, even if they were like super deep. It's made
Yeah,
me appreciate pop in some ways, like the producers of pop, more than
sure.
even the artists. Like
Yeah,
the producers of pop music almost had to do a certain level of heavy lifting because they've got to take this artist that's been brought to them by an industry who has
sure.
something, but we don't know what that it thing is in that artist. The
Yeah,
producer knows. So it might be like, hey, it's your voice. Or it might be like, hey, it's the way that you say this. It's
yeah,
this part of this. Or you have no talent, so we're gonna have to bring it out in this catchy fill, like the way that this thing happens. Like if you
sure.
even if you even think about Britney Spears, there's a lot of heavy lifting by the producers there because her voice is so different. And so
Yeah,
she probably didn't write any of her songs, which is fine. A lot of artists don't.
yeah,
Or I was talking with a lady the other day, and she said George Strait picks his songs. He doesn't write them.
yep, yep,
And but he has to be able to know what to identify in the words and how his voice and how he sings it and the melody, how it's going to resonate. And so maybe his
yep,
producer didn't have as much work as a producer of like Backstreet Boys would
sure,
have, who he's like, I got to take you guys and you're kind of the face, but I got to give you something that's going to make you look good because
sure.
not all you're going to hold a note for whatever or be able to think this through. So I'm listening through to this music and I'm going, okay, based on 100 days, I've got to find out in this, I've got to remove my ego and say, Justice, what do you legitimately have to offer? Like
Yeah,
what do you bring to the table that can be expounded upon in a song to bring about the best of it? Because
yeah,
it's not going to be your voice, right? Like
yeah,
Adele, her lyrics are great, but her
yeah. One of a kind, dude. It is. It's just one of a kind.
it's
Um,
crazy.
yeah. But that's the thing is sometimes it's going to take you a minute to figure out your niche, but I think you're already stumbling into it already because your niche might be the community that you're building to help you in this endeavor.
Got it.
You're and being that community organizer because that's who you've been your
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
life, right? Like
Yeah.
even because you were a minister like me,
Oh
right?
yeah, I
At
was a
one
youth
point
pastor,
too.
man. I was a youth
Yeah.
pastor.
So we both have that in common of you just kind of like you take that group and you're molding it into something else. And so like that's a talent, that's a superpower right there. Your ability, you wrote a book. You wrote a book. I promise you that your brain has enough ability to take some of the nuggets of the things that you research and the parts of your own life and your experiences to build things that are going to be applicable and attachable and things that people relate and want to go that resonates into this part of my life too. I definitely know that as an author you bring that to the table for sure. So
So
never, don't sell yourself
so
short in
good.
those aspects
Yeah.
because it is. I mean, you're going to have some obstacles in learning how to make music the way that you want to get it out of your head or
Yeah.
that you want something to sound. But again, I tell you, a lot of that in this endeavor that you're doing is going to be in that surrender and that trust to other people and go, I'm going to give you part of my heart. Can you help me reach this
Yeah, that's
destination?
so good. That's so good. Okay, I've got we got 8 minutes and then I've got to run.
Okay.
By the way, I'm loving this. I love it. Um, okay, so I've got two things that I'm like learning. And one thing that I'm learning to accept, and I don't know if it's true, but it's this idea that all the artists that I really love or really value, they broke some rule that like
Ooh.
unwritten rule, right? Like the ones I value, I might not even be their biggest fan, but I'm like, man, there's a rule you broke here. Like there, like this wasn't seen in this genre. They didn't know it was a thing that you could even do, but you broke the rule. So like you have to value Bob Dylan. He's done so much for music. It's like he
Yeah.
broke some rules there, right? Especially when he brings in the electric guitar and like people are like boycotting him essentially. And just
Right.
like his lyricism is like just crazy. You think about Michael Jackson, you think about Elvis Presley, you think about all these people, they were shocking. Like it was like, wait, what?
Yes.
And so I've been playing with this idea that there are no rules. Even like country music is like this. It's like I've been learning like, man, like there are people that like hate regions of country. They're like, this new Nashville country is crap. And there's like people that are like, the 90s was the greatest. We'll never have it like that again. Right.
Sure.
It's all this stuff. Right.
Yep.
I'm like learning. I've never been a part of the country culture. I've just, as far as music, country music culture, I've never been in that arena. Right. Why
Yep.
would I? I'm not doing anything in there. And so do you see that the whole concept, and it's okay if you're like, actually, no, Justice, that's fine too. But like, there are no rules. Like, does that resonate? Or are you like, well, I don't know.
No,
Here's how
no,
I
of
want to know your
course.
honest thoughts.
I think that in a very real way, the rule is that there is no rules. Because it's going to be, do you have the artistry and the talent and the thing that makes you shine in order to pull off whatever avant-garde thing that you're doing that separates you from someone else?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, but that's how amazing things happen, because especially in music, you have a world of pick-me's and you have a world of people that are all stars and have these amazing talents and gifts. And then there's still going to be people that rise to the cream of the crop in all of that, you know?
Yeah.
And it's always been that way, because even for the people who love traditional country, when you have people like Hank Williams and Patsy Cline and people like that in the old beginning eras of, you know, Gene Autry, those people stood out amongst their peers because of the things that they were doing that was them breaking rules, or them going, I just want to make the music that I want to make.
Yeah.
And the same thing when you have George Strait and Jody Messina and Garth Brooks in the 90s that you're talking about, or, you know, the people now in modern country, you know, like Dierks Bentley and things like that. Like, they're all bringing things to the table and doing things in a really smart way, because really you just have to kind of trust your gut. The thing is, how do I say this in the meanest and not tactful way possible?
Yeah.
The music that you're making, you can try to put it into a genre, and that's fine. But unless you're making this music for you, it's never going to matter.
Yeah, that's so good.
It has to be what you like and the music that you want to make, because at the end of the day, genre doesn't necessarily even matter in country music right now, because country music has almost absorbed a ton of other genres, but it's really that it's just like the themes that make it country, as opposed to the sound that makes it country now.
Yeah.
Because country right now has rock, there's rap country, there's even stuff like, and you see even in like Latino music, there's Latino country music. Like, it doesn't matter if it's bending the genre, as long as it just kind of has that like Americana to it. Make the music that you want to make the music that sounds good to you. You can definitely try to put it into a style as you're writing it and go, man, I know this song is going to be a little bit more bluesy country, but that's how I want it to be. Or maybe you want to do something that has a little bit more of an EDM vibe, because you've got somebody like Lindsey Sterling, who's this classical violinist who incorporates like EDM and things like that into her music. It doesn't matter anymore. People don't care anymore. As long as it sounds good, as long as it resonates with them, they're going to join. But really, you're not writing for them. You're not making these songs for them. You're making these songs for you, bro.
Yeah.
And that's the part that when you get afraid, you need to go, why am I afraid of other people's thoughts?
Yeah.
I'm making this music for me.
Yeah.
And if you just kind of like stick to that, you'll find your niches, man.
Dude, I think we're going to end with that. That's super powerful. And I think you're 100% right. Like 100%. 100%. All right. How do I support you? Because this was super valuable, insanely valuable.
Man, I don't know yet. I don't have a single that's my own. I have like some stuff that I've done with my friend Brian.
Yeah.
So like that's about it. Like it's just I've basically been laying down the tracks. I put a YouTube page up, but I don't even have stuff on it yet. It's like my YouTube page. So
Got it. Would you like this recording?
Sending people towards my Instagram and some of this for my YouTube would be great. I would love that.
What's your Instagram?
So it's Cody Stowe Music is my music account. CodyStoweMusic. Cody Stowe.
Sweet. At Cody Stowe Music. Perfect, man.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep. Yeah. I'm so excited about this, man. I love your journey. As soon as Greg like turned me on to what all happened, it was funny because I was like, what's going on here? Did he lose a bet? And he was like, kinda, but not really, but kinda. But I'm excited about it because you know what? Taking that kind of a challenge and it is such a bull by the horns thing. And it's the obstacle is the way, man. Like you're gonna find some really cool stuff on this process. You don't give up. Because that's the thing is it's that the machine of creativity, dude. It's the discipline of just keep powering through it.
Yeah.
Even on the good days, even on the bad days, just keep doing it. And you'll get there because really it's the journey. It's never the destination. It's always the journey.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I'm this is one of the few things because there is no like the only pressure that's there is time. And so when you go into something like if I said I'm going to try and be a professional diver in 100 days, the only pressure is time. If I was like, man, I've got to make, there's other pressures, life, kids, work, all that other stuff that I was like, I want something fun. The only pressure is time. It's not how good it is. I just want it to be good because I want it to be good. But the my level for good, my definition of good is so low. And so it just gets to be fun. It's just a fun challenge. It's like, can you knit a pillow in 100 days? I don't know. I'll try. If it looks like a blanket instead of a pillow, no one cares. So it's like, but I learned how to knit. And so for this, it's like, great. I know how to write a book. It happened. Now, if I want to do it again and I want to put more pressure and have it do better, that's the basis of doing it is there. Now it's like, this album's going to be terrible, but that's great because I only wanted to know if I could do it in 100 days.
Right. Well, and maybe that, that leads into the segue for your next book of like, I give myself these challenges every 100 days because I'm trying to grow. And here's what I've learned in those different journeys.
Yes. And every 100 days.
It's just going to give you more fuel as a creative person to put yourself out there. So 100%. I'm really excited for what you're doing, man. I think it's going to be so good.
I love it. Well, Cody, thank you so much. I don't want to take any more time and I got a call coming up, but thank you for this time. It means the world to me.
No, it was my pleasure. And however I can help in the journey, man, let me know.
Okay. Awesome. Will do. Bro. Have a good one.
Bye.